Good evening. I'm Susan Vita, and I am so lucky to be the chief of the music division here at the Library of Congress. It is my pleasure to welcome members of Congress and their staffs, other friends in our live audience here on Capitol Hill, and those of you watching remotely from all over the world. Hello, Brazil. Hello, Italia. Tonight's program is coming to you from the Library of Congress's Coolidge Auditorium, which for 94 years has been home to the series Concerts from the Library of Congress, a completely free concert series of which we are extremely proud. Over the years, many legendary figures who have shaped our sound world and changed our lives have appeared on this stage. To mention just a very few: Jelly Roll Morton, Aaron Copland, Leonard Bernstein, Leontine Price, Paul McCartney, Dionne Warwick, Joshua Bell, Paquito de Rivera, Audra McDonald, Esperanza Spalding, and thousands more. As you can tell, I'm very proud of our track record in presenting artists who are truly amazing musical talents, creators with a huge impact on our culture and society. Tonight is the opening event for the week in which we celebrate the accomplishments of Emilio and Gloria Estefan. The library is honoring them with the Gershwin Prize for Popular Song, the nation's highest honor for popular song. The prize is named after the celebrated songwriting brothers George and Ira Gershwin, whose collection is among the 600 or so collections in the music division, along with others like Rodgers and Hammerstein, Leonard Bernstein, Janine Tesori, Alvin Ailey, Max Roach, and Billy Strayhorn. I invite you to come and explore these collections. It is fitting that we open the week with this event featuring 19-time Grammy Award winner Emilio Estefan, because he started the whole thing, the Miami Latin fusion sound, as you will hear in tonight's conversation with the Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden. And I guarantee that by the end of the evening, you will be charmed by his personality and delighted by his immigrant success story. For Emilio not only succeeded himself, he also brought others along as he shaped the careers of many musical superstars, including that of his wife. The library's own personal superstar, Dr. Carla Hayden, will be doing the interview. Now, you all know about that question that you sometimes get when you're supposed to be thinking, and it says, if you were to invite people to dinner, who would you invite? Well, they'd get my vote. It would be difficult to find a conversation between two people with more optimism and passion for life. So get ready, this should be fun. And now let's bring out the Librarian of Congress, Carla Hayden and Emilio Estefan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Chills,
Chills, huh?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, this is such a delight, and we are so pleased that you are here. And as you can imagine, though, as a librarian, I said, has he written a book? Has he had anything? And so I checked it out. But before we get into that, because you can see I've tabbed things and I wanted to ask you some things. What does the Gershwin Prize mean to you?
Oh my God. I'm going to tell you, as a songwriter, it's probably the highest honor you can get, especially getting here. If my mom and my dad would be alive, they would never believe you. I'm talking to you here, like the Librarian of Congress, I can tell you that. So, something is an incredible award because, it was so difficult for us at the beginning of coming to America in a way because we came with a different sound and a different languages in a way, and it was hard. It was hard, but one thing that I always feel proud that they opened the doors to us in such an incredible way, and they closed a lot of doors. They said this will never work, but we believe in that we have so many great people in the United States, and something they open a lot of doors, and the people decide, and that way we got so many songs that became number one, and it's a dream to get this award. For me and Gloria, and I cannot say thank you enough, and thank you to everybody who decided to give us this award because it's song awards that stay forever in our life, especially when we get the Medal of Freedom. It was an incredible thing that I always said, I wish my mom and my dad would be alive because they really pushed me in a way, and they told me one thing: do what makes you happy. And something, that's what I've done in my life, and do what makes me happy was making music. And it was a blessing, and it's a blessing, and I'm very, very honored to receive this award on Wednesday.
Well, we are more than pleased, as you can imagine, because your book was a bestseller, too. The Rhythm of Success, How an Immigrant Produced His Own American Dream. And your dedication is to any young kid with the dream of becoming the first Hispanic president of the United States.
Yeah. Yes. They say we have over 26 million Latinos, millennials, and dreamers. They always say they are so lucky to live in a country that they have freedom and they have dreams. And I can tell you, every dream can come true as long as you dream and you do what is right for you. And I always said in my life that I hope my career and Gloria's career is not about Latinos only, it's about the minorities. People have a lot of dreams, they don't have money, they have a different culture, and they have the way to do and bring something totally new, and they never forget where they came from. I think that's an important. You're African American, you're Jewish, you're Italian, and you're Latino. It's good to have more culture. It's good to speak more languages. I think that brings and opens a lot of your mind, a lot of things. My dad was from Lebanon, and my grandmother used to talk to us in Arabic. And I learned a lot of it about Arabic. But, of course, being in Cuba, I was born in Cuba, and of course, I speak perfect Spanish. And I try to speak a little bit of good English, so I hope you understand everything I said. I've been practicing the whole week. I hope you understand everything.
But you will answer some questions in Spanish, too.
Okay,
You'll be able to do that. Because one of in your book, the foreword was written by one of your colleagues and best friends, Mr. Quincy Jones.
Yes, oh my God, it was a dream. Quincy is the godfather of my daughter, and I learned so much from him because, and we want to have the honor that he's going to be here with us for the award. Quincy is a guy that teaches me a lot of things about dreams. It was hard for him, even he was born in this country, because different race, different colors. And I think we need to learn from each other, and we need to be sure people understand that it's not about politics. It's not about, I don't believe in politics and you being a Democrat or Republican. I believe who is the person, who is the good person, and how he went through such a hard time in his life, and how much he accomplished and how much contribution he's done for the world, not only the music, to the world. So I'm very proud to call him my compadre and my friend. I love Quincy, and he's been one of my heroes, absolutely.
Well, he wrote, when Emilio was growing up in the U.S., there were no Latin music moguls for him to emulate. He had to make his own dream. Now, your childhood, though, someone said you went from riches to rags to riches. Could you talk about your childhood?
About, you're talking what is in the book about the...
At 11, you said that you...
Well, 11 years old, I was in Cuba, and I realized that somebody came to the house looking for dollars because they changed the whole money. And I realized that day when I saw people coming to our house, with machine guns and, trying to force my mom and my dad, to search the whole house. I was 11 years old, but it impacted my life because I said, the only thing that I really don't want is to stay in this country because, I mean, even we live in this country, we take it for granted. Freedom is the main thing a man should have and a woman because, you know something, without freedom, you cannot have dreams, you cannot have anything. I told my mom that night, I cried all night, I told Mom, I need to leave Cuba in order to leave. And my mom told me, I have to stay with your brother and my father, her father. But I knew it was the only chance that I had my family to get out of Cuba. And I remember, I mean, when I got to 14, is when they let me leave Cuba. And having a beautiful family, sort of I cried in the plane from Havana to Spain. I went to Spain because my mom was from Spain. And when I got there, in 8 hours, I became a man. Being a little kid, I became a man. And I became almost homeless with my dad. Because when you leave Cuba at the time, you're not allowed to take any money, anything that you, even a watch, anything you have to do everything with the country. But I learned a lot of things. A lot of things that you have to make decisions in life. You have to make decisions that is really hard, and you have to think and plan for the future. And that's one thing that I think I learned so many things, how to enjoy life and how to enjoy every single moment of my life, and it was an incredible and beautiful thing.
You talk about in your book, and I have to, required reading. It's life lessons and success, and each chapter is take responsibility, be positive, and I have to say that you are one of the most positive people I've ever met. And you've been able to turn different situations into positive situations, even when you were finding that people were telling you, this will never work. You mentioned something about at the Sony company that happened to you. I love this one.
Well, you know, so when we came and we recorded first in Spanish, we was the first group, believe it or not, to do an album in Spanish and English, bilingual. And the song became #1 with a small label in Miami. Then we did a song that is called Dr. Beat. And Dr. Beat, I mean, even when we took it to the label, say, this kind of sound will never works. I mean, it has a lot of percussion. But Gloria said, well, let's try ourselves. We went to all the record pools, you know, to all the DJs. And the song became #1 in England, Holland, and in the States. And we were so happy. We went to Holland, and everybody was so happy about, you know, this kind of sound, people jumping up and down. I mean, it was fantastic. And I remember we have only 2 songs in English, and they kept asking, we want more. And I said, Gloria, let's play the Cuban congas. And I said, well, and Gloria said, well, it's okay because they don't speak English or Spanish, so let's play the, you know, Latino. They don't care. I said, okay. So we played conga. The people was dancing up and down, and Gloria came out with the idea. I talked to the drummer. And they wrote the song conga. So we went to Miami and we recorded with a small budget, you know, the song. And I tried to go to Sony and tried to, they said they're really, really busy. And, you know, finally, after 7 times, they let me come into the record label. And the guy who was there said, listen, this sound will never work. I mean, you have to take the trumpets out, the percussion out. One of the things that really attracted me was he said, you have to change your last name. And I said, I will never do that, sir. And he said, well, you know something? This kind of thing, you have to play this in your home. Go back to your country. And I told the guy, listen, I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud of my family. And I want to tell you something. We will do it on our own. And you know something? Probably we tried to push the label just to put it out. And the song became a breaker in 2 weeks and became a #1 song in every format. The funny thing, that same guy that, you know, that was in the lobby telling me, you know, they are really busy. 7 years later, I became president of Sony.
I love that.
So I used to come in like that and say, hello, how are you? How you doing?
He remembered you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, he remembered me. Believe me, he remembered. Listen, I know he remembered me. I remember him for sure. I can tell you that. I remember him. But you know something? I never felt regret. I felt that, you know something, everything that happens in my life was for a reason. And people should know that you learn mistakes because you make mistakes, sometimes because of a bad experience. But I think in your life, people realize that when you wake up in the morning, you're alive and you have a beautiful family, you have to thank God and say, listen, I'm ready, let me work. And I do that every morning. I thank the fans. I thank everybody that gave us a beautiful life and let us do what we love, me and Gloria, that is making music. I wouldn't have any other choice.
You mentioned planning, and when you wake up, there's a effort to organize and do things, but you were way ahead of your time. One chapter is about planning, and it goes from the minute you wake up. Tell them about how you can see things in the dark.
No wonder she's a big boss. She knows everything.
I read it come. You say yes, but you can find things in the dark.
When I arrived in this country, I was emotional. It was really, I felt that my life was really disorganized. I didn't know if I spent many years without seeing my mom, and I said, how am I going to make money? How will I be able to help my family to come to this country? How will I be able to live? And I say, the only way I'll be able to make my life successful if I get organized and I do plannings, because that's the only way you do. Sometimes you have to focus in life. You have to say, okay, I have a chance. I live in a country that, anything can happen in this country. And I say, I need to work. And the thing is, it was hard in a way because we never wanted to lose who we are. I think it was a sound, that's what we call a Miami sound machine, because when we come to Miami, it was a lot of people coming, leaving Cuba because being in a communist country. And, but I grew up listening to Celia Cruz and Cachao and, all the Cuban music, and then I come to Miami and you hit Motown and Donna Summer and, all the great music that we have in this country, and we combine both elements. And people the record labels never like to take chances. And I say, but I don't want to change something that is not who we are. It's one thing I leave to my kids and I think to a lot of people is that, you don't have to change yourself to be successful. You have to be who you are, because in the long run, you are real. And you have people are too smart and they know when you do something with a lot of honesty. And I feel proud about that. Yeah, thank you so much.
So before you there wasn't a true Miami sound. You developed that?
It was a Miami sound. They told me, don't put that sound. That's too local. They said, that's who we are. We're Miami sound. Listen, I used to call it rice and beans and hamburger because it was a rice and beans and hamburgers. It was a whole fusion of that.
And so the business part, you got into producing and helping other artists?
Something when my son, of course, we started, doing with Gloria all the albums, and we knew what we was looking for. We knew we liked trumpets and we liked the percussion and we liked that, but then we became, thanks God, very successful, and many people came and asked me, Latino like Thalia, for example, but John Secara came, but he was the background vocals. And I said, John, you sound so beautiful, man. You're bilingual, you can do it. And John said, let's do it. And we did the album. And even after all the success that we got with the conga and everything, Sony passed. They said, no, we don't want to release out. So we was playing Wembley in London, and I called EMI, and I called a guy and said, listen, I have a guy that is fantastic, The guy said, listen, I am going to be really busy. Listen, I told him, you have the Concorde, you can come in the morning and leave the next day. And I convinced him. I think energy is so important. When you tell people you think about positive, and I say, yes, you have to listen to him, because that's the way I am. I still buy a tie and I say, oh my God, I bought a new tie, tomorrow I want to wear the tie. I'm so happy like a kid. And I think that's contagious. I think sometimes, somebody who's depressed, get depressed. When you're happy, everybody gets happy, and I think that's me. I cannot avoid that. Gloria always said that my house is like, I love Lucy, but I'm Lucy. That's a problem.
Yes, tell them about how you plan things and pack and all
that. How I pack? Oh my God. I'm the best packer in the world. I can go at night and get my underwear, get my shoes, get things, everything.
In the dark?
In the dark. Yes.
That's why you're Lucy.
I'm getting red of it.
But that's the planning and being ready. Now, Gloria, how did you meet Gloria?
How I met Gloria, when I came to Miami, First thing that I did, I convinced my uncle I said, Uncle, I need to buy an accordion. I said, we don't have money. I said, well, let's go and please sign for me the accordion. It was $177. And when I got home, my aunt told me, how are we going to pay for this? I said, I'm gonna go search to see. And then I went to an Italian restaurant. Imagine a Cuban guy playing Italian music. That's really weird.
On an accordion.
And I said, I have to do it, But, one thing that I hired the accordion. I worked for the Bacardi family. And I used to know all the Cuban music because I grew up in Cuba. So the Bacardi family came from Cuba, and I said, they're going to have a wedding and a party, the reception, an anniversary. And we wanted you to come with accordion and maybe a percussion. And I came, and we played that night, and we became a huge success. They tipped me like $120. $120 for me was like this. Oh my God, I'm blessed, I'm so happy. I can buy a screen tomorrow. And the band became really famous, called it Miami Latin Boys. Then Gloria, I used to work in Bacardi, and the guy told me it's a group that's going to perform in the church. And you should come to listen to them because, I don't know, they're good enough. They do that, to collect money for poor people. And so I went to a house, and I saw this group performing. I saw Gloria. I was very impressed. Number one, I love the honesty on her. Gloria is an incredible human being, and I saw that she was a little bit sort of the beautiful voice, but she was sort of like sad in a way. Gloria's childhood wasn't good. Her father went to Bay of Pigs. He was an invasion. Then he came back, and then he went to Vietnam. And when he came back, he came in a wheelchair. So I knew something it was a feeling. Sometimes you feel people. But something, that day I said hello, goodbye, and then like 3 months later I was playing a wedding. And she came into the wedding. I was playing do the hustle in the accordion. Ting, 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 ting. And Gloria was impressed with that. She was so impressed. I said, oh my God, a Cuban guy playing do the hustle, that's really weird. And I said, oh my God, come and sing a song with us. And she came, and she didn't want to do it. I said, come on. He said, everybody knows you here. And we played 2 songs, and I love her voice. And I said, we do this weekends, and we used to play like weddings, bar mitzvahs, we play everything in Miami. And I love the sound, to be bilingual, to have percussion, to have, dance music. And she came, for the audition, she came with her grandma, the grandmother, the mother, her sister. Everybody came to the place that we was rehearsing. So, oh my God. In Cuba we call chaperone. Have to have chaperone all the time. It's like chaperone is when you get a bodyguard for the girl that you're dating. No, now things change. But, at the time that I met Gloria, it's like, you have a girlfriend, you have a chaperone. It's like a bodyguard next to her. So she said, listen, I'm going to do it. My cousin will come with me. I said, okay, no, doesn't matter. I said, listen, we hardly made no money. It was $125. We used to play parties and things. And she said, well, no more. We split the money. I said, we split the whole money. We used to make probably $20. But something, one of the things that I noticed, even I was going through such a hard time, when I used to perform with the band every weekend, it was the happiest moments. And I knew, and then, the whole thing, I said, let's make a record. We started recording the record, and the first one that we recorded was Renacer, and the song became #1 in the Spanish market, all Latin America and the United States. And we became really, really famous. And then Sony called. And we was involved with a local label, and we had to buy the rights from the local label. We bought the rights, and for the publishing company and for they let us go. I said, no, don't matter. You want to go, and he got the money that he put into the whole record. I paid it, and then that's what we did, Dr. Beat. We signed the deal with Sony. We came Dr. Beat and Conga, and it was a blessing in a way, but it was difficult. Difficult, that's what I think, nowadays I will have so many problems with the music business because the downloading and everything. I tell guys, listen, you have the internet and you'll be able to show your music worldwide now, and don't lose it, don't lose the moment. And, a lot of people say, try to play even at home, just get your telephone, just get them to see what you're doing, because if you're good, people are going to like it. And something is happening, little by little, but it's happening. But it's been a rough time for a lot of musicians. And the reason that I always say that is because it was so hard for me and Gloria. And sometimes when I see that Gloria got like 38 #1s, I say like, you say, oh my God, who could have believed that band that was, that we started, people say, no, will never happen. But me and Gloria, we was always persistent and try to do, like I said, And the other thing, when you do a song that is like conga, they want the label to always do only conga, conga. They don't want to change for a ballad. And then I said, well, we want to play a ballad. And said that we will never back it up. So it was hard for us at the beginning because we don't want to back you up with conga. And then you come with a beautiful ballad. Like, for example, Words Getting in the Way, Anything for You. And they didn't want to put any money because they said, why the ballad? And that's what I say. I always tell people, do what makes you happy. Don't tell anybody no don't let anybody change your destiny, because a lot of people get their destiny changed because somebody can force you to do something that you don't want to do.
Now, the first kiss, though. Let's get back to you with Gloria.
I'm telling you, she knows everything. No wonder she's keeping all the secrets here. You go to the building, you see everything.
We're gonna, this is, because there was a little something going on with the first kiss.
Yeah, I lie.
But what happened?
You know something?
Now?
I started seeing Gloria falling in love. I don't believe love at first sight. I think love has to be when you make a decision to spend your life, it has to be somebody you really want to spend your life. I've been married over 40 years, and I've been the best marriage in my whole life. I mean, it's been unbelievable.
40 years.
But the first kid, I mean, Gloria used to drive with me in the van just to set up the equipment. I said, listen, if you and me, we get married, we really good. And Gloria looked at me and said, what the hell he's talking about? So it was July 4th, 1976, and was all the fireworks, and I told Gloria, the 4th is my birthday. And Gloria said, oh my God, the 4th is your birthday? July 4th? Yes. Will you give me a kiss? And she said, well, no, I give you a present. No, give me a kiss, baby, come on, just a kiss. I said, give it back, So when she went, I said, well, okay, but give me a present, doesn't matter, but give me a kiss now. I want the kiss now. So the fireworks is going, the whole thing.
But that's not your birthday.
No, I told her, I said, when she gave me the kiss, I said, well, it's 4th of March, no, the July. Listen, but it works. It works. Sometimes you have to lie a little bit.
That's what okay. It's a little
I'm afraid every time she looks for a page, I say, oh my God, what do you want to say now?
But 40-something years.
40-something years.
The chapter 26, though, focus when disaster strikes.
Yeah.
That was a hard time.
Absolutely. I mean, something, we worked so hard and a lot of dreams, and we was enjoying life. And when we got into the accident, they told me that Gloria probably would never walk again. She broke her back. And I said, and that's what we call our play on your feet, because something, doesn't matter you're rich, you're famous, you're not famous. A lot of things happens in your life. You have to get on your feet many, many times in your life when you go to difficult times. Everybody goes to difficult times. Maybe somebody's sick, somebody died, somebody goes through a rough time in life, they have to get on your feet. But something, it was really, I was looking at a picture, believe it or not, this week, doing the packages, for the telecast. The day that the accident happened, I was black hair, totally black hair. 3 months later, I was totally white. I became totally gray, and because I said it was so difficult for us, and she was so determined to go back and say, I want to inspire people. If you're okay, my baby's okay, I'll be okay. And it was really tough. But something, 1 year later, she was in this stage, and she was going a world tour, and it was a blessing of being persistent. Gloria is a very positive person, and I always respected her and admire her. I think I admire her more because she was a role model for me when that happens, because she became so strong because of the kid and the family. She knew how hard it was to see a person in a wheelchair, because she dealt with her father in that situation. So after that, something, I love life, and I even love life even more because I realize how lucky we are. And I always thank people that give us and pray for us so much and give us the support. So thank you so much for the supporting in that time in our life.
And in terms of, back to that Miami sound, when you were told this will never work and everything, you persisted, you went ahead, and then you started producing. Who were some of the people and the groups that you've worked with?
Oh my God!
It's legendary.
Well, the first one was John Secada, but then, of course, Jennifer Lopez, when she came to me, Mark Anthony, Shakira, Ricky Martin, so many people that we were able to, it was a blessing in a way because, a lot of people, when they have a sound, they don't want to share with somebody else. And I was looking in a different way. I said, something, we got lucky, and I always believe in karma. I think what you get is what you give. And helping them not only was a great move for my career, it was a great blessing to our culture and to keep, opening the door for a lot of kids. A lot of kids that come to this country that, that they come with dreams. And they see somebody else doing it. Like tonight, this award that we're getting, I hope, like I said, can touch many people's life, and many kids and, people. And when I said, no Latinos, minorities, I say over and over that because, something, I remember the first time that I saw the Grammys. I said, oh my God, I'm going to save money to go one day to the Grammys. That will be my dream to go in the Grammys. 8 years later, I was sitting first row, competed to Quincy Jones, be against Quincy Jones. I couldn't believe that. And, I've been nominated almost 42 times and one night in Grammys. Who could have said that? And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing.
We're going to have Cyndi Lauper and Patti LaBelle.
And the show, everybody's coming. Everybody's coming. You should come to the show. The show is going to be fantastic.
And just it expands and it's universal.
It's going to be great. And something, that show represents us because, like you said, Mrs. Patti LaBelle will come, Cyndi Lauper, everybody say, Jose Feliciano, Quincy Jones, Rita Moreno. It's going to be a great show. My daughter's going to perform. I'm the biggest fan of my daughter. And Gloria's going to sing. I'm going to play congas.
It should be wonderful. One thing that comes through in your book talks of each chapter is about a different aspect of business and life. People sometimes don't realize what a producer does, and we talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, producer is like a coach. A coach when you see a football, and they tell him go this way. Producer is a guy who really, believe it or not, is in charge beginning to end. Pick up the songs, what key is going to be, manage the budget, what tempo is going to be. So many different elements. It takes, file all the things for the, for the unions, get everything ready, and then mix the whole album, get it ready. It takes, from beginning to end. Like when you produce a movie. I work in a lot of movies. I work I did Evita for Madonna, 3 Birdcage, 3 Men and a Baby, Pocahontas, Top Gun. I've done 28 movies in my whole life. And sometimes when I see a movie, for example, as a music producer, they gave me only the images without music. So I had to create most of the music for the movie. So that's what the producer does. And trying to find a unique sound. When I produce Ricky Martin, it doesn't sound like Shakira, or Shakira doesn't sound like Jennifer Lopez, or Jennifer Lopez doesn't sound like Mark Anthony, or nobody has a sound that Gloria has sound. And that's what the producer. Now, to me, I was looking off because when I produce all these people, but I produce Thalía, Paulina Rubio, Carlos Vive, oh my God, Cristian Castro, Alejandro Fernandez, so many people, Sopra Contrariada from Brazil, that, I love when I produce this kind of different music because what people never knew and that people never know, I never got the money to study music. Everything that I did with music, it was because I wanted to learn to do music and to write music and to produce and everything, but I never went to school for that. And that's what I tell people. School is a great thing to have, like I told my daughter that she went to Berkeley, but that's not the main thing. It's about the passion that you have to do things, like I said, that you're going to do something that makes you really, really happy. And I think that in a way I was so lucky that I was very successful with that.
You mentioned you determine the key that a artist sings in. How
the key
does
is
that
important.
work
It's
sometimes?
important. I remember when I worked with Alejandro Fernandez from Mexico. He used to sing beautiful voice, but his key was really low. He sounded too deep. And then I changed the key to a brighter key, and the song becomes more present. That's all. And that's what a producer do. He said, it's the overall. Now, being a producer, I managed Shakira for 11 years. And of course, I worked with Gloria this year. I managed John Secara for 20 years. 20 years. He's like my brother. And you know something? It's not only when you finish an album, how are you going to organize to hit I mean, when I started doing music, was no internet. How would we be able to promote worldwide something in music? I mean, with Gloria, sometimes we used to have breakfast in Paris, lunch in Italy, and sleep in Germany to hit every single market and every single radio station, because you only have like a month to promote an album worldwide. Especially Gloria recording like 4 or 5 different languages. So you have to hit different demographic, different markets. You have to hit the Spanish market, the English market. And realistically, in the Spanish market, we have crossover. I mean, Dominican music is different from salsa, and Mexican music is different from vallenato, and Brazilian music is different. So even we was probably one, as a producer, I was one of the few first producers to do a song that translates to every single Latin market. Before I was a producer, you had to do a Mexican version, merengue version, a Puerto Rican version, but when you realize it's like another album. So I accomplished a lot of things because I mix a lot of things. I think like that's what I was saying at the beginning. When you have different cultures, you learn so much from different people. And music has no language. It's about the energy you put into the record, the message you want to send. I mean, and I think, I remember when I did Where of the World in Spanish. And in the middle, I put Daddy Yankee, Black Eyed Peas. I mean, it was such an incredible feel because, I brought a Pitbull. I mean, Pitbull is somebody who I adore and respect because, he always kept his flavor of Miami. And I think that's important. I mean, Motown have a flavor, Miami has their own flavor, and that goes worldwide, and that's a beautiful thing.
Can you remember the first time you heard your first song on the radio?
In the radio, I stopped the car. I said, I can't believe that. Oh my God, Gloria. We're on the radio. We're on the radio. Believe it or not, still now, when I do a song, I was lucky enough, I just did a group from Italy called Il Bolo, that was 3 tenors, and they went to number 3 on the charts, and when I heard for the first time the song on the radio, now after so many years, I still have the same feeling. I always said that, something, I always want to make music. It's like my first album when I did it, or the last one I'm going to do. Because I feel if you lose that energy, it doesn't come through the way it should be.
So you still feel the tingle or the excitement when
that's
it
for
comes
sure.
on?
Even when I buy a tie, I told you.
You love those ties. Now, you also, though, have been doing things in philanthropy and human rights, too.
Yes.
So could you
I think
tell a little
every
bit about
immigrant that comes to this country, I think we have something that we have to get back, how lucky we are that we live in this country, that gives us the opportunity to make a living, to be free. And me and Gloria, we are committed ourselves we do a lot of charity, a lot of things, and every time it's a problem with the human rights and things, we always try to send a message to people. And especially things happen like in Venezuela now, in Cuba, that we still have human rights problems. We always talk about it because I think it's important people to know that, when you see every time this kind of thing happens, that they don't have freedom, you see what happens. I mean, the country what is happening in Venezuela now is a horrible thing. You see kids dying and people dying of hunger. What happened to Cuba, that's still happening in Cuba. It's been a major problem. And I hope, before I leave this country, and this world, I hope that I see a world with freedom in every place in the world and peace. Because I think we go to the moon and we don't realize we have to fix what we have in this country. And this is important.
Well, I really wanted people to hear more about that because
She closed the book. She knows.
I got it. Because you ended up with Get Inspired, and you're here with and looking into the future. In terms of the music business and just what you think, what do you see? You mentioned a little bit about the internet and.
Well, it's a lot of things happening, and that's what you need to be organized. Whatever you do now is extremely. I think being organized helps you a lot. Making plans, anything. I think a lot of people become successful, and a lot of people, they don't become successful because they do things in a hurry. Don't do nothing in a hurry. Even getting married, don't get married in a hurry. Take your time. Because one of the things, for example, when you get married, be sure that you tell your wife yes to everything she tells you. Then you get married for 40 years. But something, it's a lot of great things happening. I think the music business is going through a really rough time because it's a downloading situation that people don't pay. And I was talking to some of your people that, by the way, congratulations, you had one of the more beautiful staff in there that I see how much respect they have for you. But you know something, everything that happened with the record business affected not only to musicians, it's affected people to clean the people who clean the studio, the people who's engineers, the people who have this distribution, the people who stock things in a warehouse to sell the record. It's really affected a lot of people. So I hope they find a way that we can keep making live music. Music, something that really brings a lot of joy to the world. And I hope we find a way to be able to. We just started a big litigation now. That thanks God that we work. A lot of us who work in that in the past to be able to, when you download something, at least they get paid a little bit and they can be able to make a living in what they like. But I think something we have it. I always look the bright side. I think the computer is going to be fantastic. They need to learn how to use it. They make it. Listen, nowadays with the phone, you can make your own video, and you don't need to make like a $1 million video. You make a video that is sincere, create your own sound, create something that's very unique that nobody's done before. The only thing I always tell people: don't try to copy anybody when you do music. Do something that is you and represent. That doesn't matter. You're African. Do African music. Combine whatever you want to combine. You are French. You do French, but just be real. I think that's something that I learned many years ago.
You have to be yourself.
Absolutely.
And do it. Well, we are going to actually open it up a little bit for question and answer.
And you told me to speak Spanish.
I said you.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Mucho gusto, encantada, ¿cómo te va?
And I said.
Sí, mucho gusto.
Yes, because this is being live streamed worldwide. So please.
You know what I told her, I love when I do this kind of thing. People have questions that that sometimes they want to ask me. If you have any kind of question before we finish, if you don't mind, I would love to see anybody who has a question. I would love to answer you.
And so we're going to open it up a little bit.
Right.
And we have a hand
Do you have
up
a mic
here,
there?
and mics are coming around.
All right.
And
I love that you have the conga album. That's great, man. Thank you so much.
There's a conga album. Now, was that the first?
Oh my God! Listen, you bought me the tie.
Vintage?
Buying this album, you bought the tie.
Oh my! You might want to do it. Well,
Hi, my name is Patricia. My question, I'm down here.
Right there.
Oh, right
here.
Okay.
Recently, you both brought a musical to Washington, D.C. Can you talk more about that? And was it did it feel like a new project and the challenges that you had to do with it? Yeah,
the music's we're so lucky that, it was in Broadway for so long, but now it's in Japan, believe it or not. Imagine to find a Cuban Japanese in Japan, that's really difficult, but they found one. But, it was in Holland, and it's going to open now in West End in London. And we're still touring the state, very successful tour, and, it's sending a great message about love, and I don't know if you got to see it. Yeah. And I think it's the works maybe to do a movie soon. So get ready for the movie now.
That's a sneak preview there. And who will play you now?
And thank you for going.
Oh, yeah. I think we have some right there.
After so many things you've achieved together with Gloria, what is your other biggest dream right now? You have any other dreams about big projects?
I'm sorry, would you say it again, because it was really hard to...
I'm saying after so much that you have achieved, do you have the biggest dream to achieve something else?
Oh my God, I cannot ask for more. I'd be greedy if I asked for more than what I've done in my whole life. Keep my family healthy, find and try to help and pay back how lucky we've been in this country, bring peace to the world. I mean, I think I see so many things now that is too many that try people to fight, and I hope people can talk and get things done in a way. And one of my dreams, I would love to have a Cuba and now Venezuela free. I mean, in Nicaragua, they're going through a rough time. I see kids and people hungry, and I hope they can achieve freedom and they can be able to choose their own president. And they don't have to win what I went through and what a lot of people going through. So I hope, so I can't ask for more. We've been more than blessed. I want to thank everybody for that because, that's been a blessing.
Hola, estoy por aquí, por arriba. Emilio, aquí. Soy Mayra Zulbarán. Aquí arriba, Emilio. Tengo mi mano levantada acá. Estoy muy arriba, sí, aquí, en el medio.
Okay,
arriba.
I see you now.
Okay. Soy Mayra Zulbarán. I'm sorry, I speak English very well. I'm from Venezuela. Estoy aquí desde hace 6 meses y eres uno de mis ídolos porque soy la esposa de un cantante venezolano. Él está aquí a mi lado y está obviamente tan inspirado como yo. Y realmente mi pregunta es, perdón si ya lo dijiste, pero no entiendo totalmente el inglés. Cuando ya sientes que no hay fuerzas, en algún momento de tu carrera seguramente sentiste que las fuerzas se te acababan, porque tu país estaba en ruinas, porque tu familia estaba encerrada, porque quizás Gloria vivió una historia muy dura en Cuba. ¿Qué palabra puedes decirle a esta pareja venezolana que hoy en día pareciera que la historia me pone aquí sentada porque solo estoy aquí, apenas me enteré ayer? Y no puedo creer que esté delante de alguien que vivió algo muy parecido a lo que nosotros estamos viviendo y quizás quisiera escuchar de ti una palabra que llegó a tu mente en un momento determinado en donde quizás dijiste, no tengo dinero, tengo que seguir adelante. ¿Cuál es la palabra clave, además de la fe, para continuar?
Yo creo que la palabra la dijiste, la palabra se llama fe. Creo que en un momento en el que vivimos en estos momentos, que Venezuela no está sola, mucha gente lo está rezando y pidiendo mucho por ustedes. Yo creo que tiene que salir dentro de Venezuela lo que está pasando y este es el momento que Venezuela, el pueblo se revire de verdad y que vaya y que le enseñe al mundo debido al Internet. Hablando de Internet, es muy importante que el Internet sea el que no lo tuvimos nosotros en Cuba en ese momento y los medios de comunicaciones. La fe es algo no se va a perder. Voy a decir algo en inglés para que lo entiendan. She asked me about Venezuela. What is the word that something people never should something that you should feel because they went to Cuba and Venezuela is faith. Now we live in a moment that we have internet, we have phones that they record. Please keep posting things. Venezuela is not by itself. I think they're getting support from all over the world. But I think it has to happen with the Venezuelan people to be sure people know that the Venezuelan people want freedom. And they're going to have backup. Pero no pierdan la fe y rezar mucho como yo y Gloria hemos rezado porque la paz y que la gente no siga sufriendo. Deseamos para tu país lo mejor y ojalá que no tenga que pasar lo que pasamos nosotros en Cuba. De nada, no, muchas gracias.
And we're squinting a little bit
Listen, he
because
wrote
the
two albums.
lights
He had to talk, he wrote two albums, all the way from the beginning.
Oh man, I can't believe it. No puedo creerlo. Emilio, back in the 40s was Carmen Miranda. In the 50s was Ima Sumac from Peru.
Yeah.
Then Richie Valens. Then Ricky Ricardo in the 50s and the 60s, Santana, and the 70s, en los 70s, Santana. And suddenly, in the middle 80s, you changed the Latin music history forever. Cambiaste la música, la historia de la música latina por siempre. I'm from Bolivia and live in this country 22 years. I didn't go to school to learn to speak English. Learn on my own because I love music and I used to repeat and suddenly now I'm teaching basic English, you know? But after 22 years living in this country and because the no laws, maybe I'm gonna live in this country, my country, United States. I love this country and you really, really inspire me. I love music like no one else. And I would like to see my community, quiero ver a mi comunidad latina, more than 20 countries, más de 20 países, together, because we are going through really hard times. Estamos yendo por momentos difíciles. I can't come back to my country. This is my country. After 22 years, I would like some words, because maybe, and I say this from my heart, desde mi corazón, maybe I'm gonna leave this country, I'll live in my own, but I would like to, how the music can be, put us together and be a real Latino community. Please, can you say something?
I'm gonna tell you something. We are very blessed that, even we were born in Cuba, we belong to all of you. We felt, me and Gloria, that we brought a lot of Latin America and South America to us because they support us from the beginning. I know everybody that comes sometimes not to this country, to any country. I mean, it's hard because you come with the different languages and you come with a different culture. But I'm going to tell you something, I want people to know that This country is the best country in the whole world, and they open doors, and they are good people in this country, and that's what I'm so proud to call Cuban American. You know, you're blessed, and we're blessed to live in a free country. So, you know, we have to work hard, and we need as a community to get together to, you know, to do great things. I'm very proud of you. Very proud. I want to give him a hug. Ahora, yeah.
I'm shaking.
No, I'm shaking. Yeah. Yeah. He was funny. He told me, I'm checking. I said, oh my God, you're probably the only one. I'm going to tell you it's funny because the fame is all related. The other day I'm in an airplane, and we're in Kennedy Airport. Gloria's playing with two dogs, and I'm there. Everybody that passed by the plane and say, Emilio, take a picture. Let's take a picture. Take a picture. The captain said, no more pictures because we have to leave. They're in Kennedy Airport. You have to leave. So the story is, the last people that they want to take a picture, it's a guy with two kids and the mom. So the mom said, I take the picture. The guys take the picture. I take the picture, and the kid goes next to me like this. I say, who are you? I told him, Ricky Martin. Say, who's Ricky Martin? I said, man, I have a problem now. So thank you so much for buying that album. I love that you had. All the way from the beginning.
Conga. I think there was a question. Like I say, there you go.
Oh, right here? Okay.
Hi, good evening. My name is Arely Perez. And my question is, all the immigrants, the Spanish immigrants, we went through a lot these past 2 years. First, we were calling we're rapists. We don't belong to this country. We're not a good people. Then, the separation of the families. So what do you think about all this controversy with the wall?
You're talking about immigration. I'm sorry, it's a little bit hard to. But you're talking about immigration?
Yes.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something that I always been meeting with a lot. I've been lucky enough that I produced 5 different administrations, Democrat and Republican. Every president has good things and bad things. I think immigration should be legal because they go through a lot of rough times, and every country should have legalized immigration to be sure it's in order. Like you say, I plan things. Okay. But at the same time, I mean, like he said, sometimes people don't realize that sometimes people don't come to this country only looking for a better life. They're looking for freedom to save their family. When you have a family, I mean, you will do anything that you have to do to save them, to be sure that your kid be able to live in a free world. And I hope we get organized in a way. Listen, I was showing her pictures of every single president, talking to them how we can get maybe visas to see one thing that you have to understand. A lot of Latinos, we made a great contribution to this country, and we love this country. A lot of Latinos go to war for this country, like Gloria's father, and he came back in a wheelchair. A lot of Latinos pay taxes for this country, and we're proud to call ourselves American citizens. I hope they understand that they fix all these problems with immigration to be sure we're legalizing and people can come legal without avoiding any kind of people coming illegal, because people go through a lot of rough times when they come illegal, and I think it should be organized. But I hope, like I say, I have faith in this country, and I know we have great people, and it's good that we have a Senate that can make decisions, and I hope the president listen to and see how much contribution the Latino people, and not Latino, I mean from different countries in the world, like the Jewish community. See how much the Jewish community has done for this country, and the Italian community, and for many places in the world. They came to this country organized, and they've done a lot of things, and they've been a role model for us. I hope they understand we have the same message for them, and we accomplish that.
Over there.
Okay. Muy buenas noches, Emilio Estefan. Mi nombre es Catherine Cespedes. My name is Catherine Cespedes. I am a migrant from Peru. I came to the United States in the year 2000. I grew up in Miami. I'm very excited to be here. You're definitely the part of Miami. And my question for you would be, what would be your advice for young migrants who have now become a part of this country, who probably see themselves like yourself as bicultural, bilingual, and still making an attempt to remain true to their roots in areas of the country where they might indeed be very much a minority?
Well, listen, people don't understand, like I said, in music, we have so much diversity of when people come from different countries. Be who you are. I mean, I got lucky to work with one of the best musicians that I work in my whole life. He's going to be in the show, Gianmarco. Gianmarco, he came to Miami to ask me for help, and he became a Grammy winner, producer and writer, and I'm so proud of him. He's going to be in our show, and the reason I want him to be in our show because I think sometimes having the story like me and Gloria, but the story about Ricky Martin and Jennifer Lopez and Marc Anthony and Shakira, and now Gianmarco is from Peru, it makes me happy. It makes me happy that they became successful. But the things like I say, be who you are. I mean, you know something. Don't try to make sushi. Try to make Peruvian food. I mean, we have restaurants, and something. I say, why do you make I say, we're Cuban. It has to be rice and beans and palomilla. Forget it. That's what we are. And I think we're lucky with that.
We have time for just a couple of more
Yes.
questions.
You know how I feel? I feel like I'm doing a whole thing that they do on TV, when they're running for president. I'm never going to get into politics, I promise you.
This is actually going to be our last question right over here.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Right this way. Right in here.
There we go.
Emilio, gracias por tu inspiración y por tu legado. I'm going to try to be very brief. Quisiera que nos dijeras un poquito más sobre cómo pueden todos los jóvenes que te están escuchando en línea y la gente que está aquí, que no tiene dinero para estudiar música, si les puedes dar un consejo de cómo fue ese camino que tú tomaste autodidacta y para que lo aprendan también. Y mi segunda pregunta, que me está palpitando el corazón, es la siguiente. Como latina, and I'll just say it in English to be fair for everyone, as Latin, and knowing how hard people like you and us here and beyond, they work for the American dream, and then, living in Miami, knowing about climate change and the environment, my hardest part as an activist for the environmental movement is how to tell my people, mi gente, to not, to look for a smile and to try to live green when they always thought that the American dream was bigger and more. So reconciliating those it's been the biggest challenge. I don't know if you could speak a little bit about that or put it in your heart and in your mind, trying to create some music to speak to the environmental needs of our era right now.
Well, listen, the environment, I mean, you have to know that what is happening is we've been advised, and we have to move into that. Absolutely, we need to move and put some money when it comes to, be sure to pay more attention to that, because otherwise the next generation will pay a big price. And the way to do it is to create conscious and show people how, if we don't pay attention, how difficult it's going to be. As a Latina, like you said, living in Miami, no money to study, I mean, for me it was so hard because I wish I could study. I didn't have the money. I had two choices, or learn music or bring my mom from Cuba that I spent 11 years without seeing her, and bring my brother. So you have to have a balance. And, I want to tell you, we used to be 14 kids with my grandmother sleeping in a room. I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm ashamed, that I play for the accordion for tips in a restaurant, an Italian restaurant, that they didn't feed me. And the minute I used to get $5, I used to go and buy a sandwich. And, and I think, that teach me to be real and to appreciate life, and to give a hug to somebody who appreciated and bought a record from me maybe 30 years ago. And I never want to lose that. But listen, you have to be persistent, and you have to plan things. The best way that I would say we can show the world, Latinos and immigrants, and not only Latinos, is giving back. Giving back. Every time we receive an award like the Medal of Freedom or the Gershwin Award, which I want to thank you very much for considering us for that, it's not about getting that award for me and Gloria. It's about getting that award for many people. many people that be able to get inspired, that if we did it, they can do it. I know how difficult it was to go to sleep without eating. How difficult it was maybe in order to go to a movie theater to put $3 and save it to bring my mom from Cuba. I mean, but you know, life was good to us. We always want to be good to life. And we always, I hope me and Gloria will be a role model to a lot of people. And to say, I always said that, you know, something, that we live in the best country in the whole world. And I always, sometimes when I do this kind of thing, I say, and every night I say, God bless America, we live in a beautiful country. I'm never going to lose faith because we have a lot of great people in this country, I can tell you that.
Now,
nothing more in the book?
I must tell you, well, it's not off, you know, they say sometimes is the movie as good as the book. You are better than a book.
Oh my God, her to set up. I'm going to use a commercial.
So much. Thank you for inspiring so
give me
many
a hug. Come on, give me a hug. I want a hug.
Thank you. And thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, look at it.
Thank you so much.